Hello, everyone. Welcome to Star Codes, the podcast where we focus on an upcoming event in the astrology and numerology. I'm Tania Gabrielle, Astro-Numerologist, and today we are going to focus on Jupiter square Saturn, which is an incredible cycle that began late in 2020. It's a 20-year cycle between Jupiter and Saturn. The conjunction was on the winter solstice, if you remember, December 21st, 2020, Jupiter and Saturn at 0 degrees Aquarius, and we're going to circle back to that in a moment. And now they're moving into a square. And the square is really the second part. We're starting the second of 4 parts of this 20-year cycle. So we begin the square on August 19th. That's the first time these two meet at 90 degrees. And then they meet again in December of this year and finally in spring of next year because of the retrograde patterns. So August 19th in 2024 is a mega astrology day. First of all, we have the Aquarius full moon on that day where the sun and moon are opposite each other, sun in Leo, moon in Aquarius. And they're creating a T-square to Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and the T-square is exact. 27-degree moon, 27-degree suns, 27-degree Uranus. This is absolutely powerful just on its own in terms of change and sudden events and shocking developments and transformation and being available for sudden shifts in your life and looking to the future as well, which Aquarius wants us to do, looking for breakthroughs, freedom, anything to do with freedom. So that alone is going to be an incredible moment. And I will do a special separate forecast on that full moon. But on that same day, just 9 hours later, we have Saturn and Jupiter in their square. So squares are 90-degree angles, and 4 squares create the full cross, right? The north, south, east, west cross. And they represent Earth. They represent the 4 directions. They represent the 4 seasons. And they represent new beginnings as well, because after every 90 degrees, we go to the next segment of the circle. So we have the square between Saturn and Jupiter, and they're actually creating a T-square with Venus at 18 degrees Virgo. So we have a T-square in mutable signs, which are signs of mellifluous energy, changeable energy. And then we have the other T-square between Sun and Moon, which are the full moon in Aquarius, with Uranus, and Uranus is in Taurus, and that's a fixed sign square with Taurus, Aquarius, and the sun in Leo. So 2 T-squares at once with incredible planets. So we're going to focus today on the Saturn-Jupiter cycle, but I wanted to open the forecast for you in this way because it just shows you that there's going to be major developments this month. And I want to hone in on now this cycle between Jupiter and Saturn, which, as I said, began in late 2020 on the winter solstice. 0 degrees Aquarius is when they were conjunct on the winter solstice. And what planet is at 0 degrees right now activating that point in the zodiac? It is Pluto. Pluto is currently at 0 degrees and will stay there until September 1st. When Pluto retrogrades for the final time into Capricorn, only to 29 degrees Capricorn, the final degree, for 2.5 months, and then leaves for 20 years and moves into Aquarius again. So Pluto is at the 0 degree Aquarius point in the zodiac where this current Saturn-Jupiter cycle began. And it will be there, Pluto will be there when the next big segment of the Jupiter-Saturn cycle continues. And we have that Aquarius full moon that is so powerful. So all these planets are coming together in a way that show that there's going to be a big reality check. That's what Saturn actually always loves, is to bring home what is real and what is practical. So your way of thinking about anything, especially career, which Saturn governs, and where you live, where you travel, what you're studying, what expands your life, which is what Jupiter governs, this square is absolutely activated in your chart somewhere. Saturn is in Pisces at 17 degrees. Jupiter is currently in Gemini, recently entered Gemini at 17 degrees. Now, 17 degrees in numerology is the immortality number. That means you leave a legacy behind. 17 reduces to 8, which is the infinity number, the eternity number. It's very strong. It's all about leadership. So everything that is happening in your life and also collectively at this time is going to leave a major legacy. And Saturn itself is the planet that leaves roots that are very strong. It's a very secure foundation. So what you are thinking about, focusing on, allowing to shift in your life will dramatically impact your life for the foreseeable future. Now, Jupiter also governs our beliefs, our faith in the divine, our ideals as well. Jupiter is very much connected to purpose, to meaning, to honing in on why am I here? And Saturn teaches and tests you as you go through moments in your life where you discover your purpose or realize what your purpose is or seek your purpose. And Saturn just shows you and gives you feedback and course corrects you all the time so that you stay on track. So there is going to be in August now a real sense of wanting to or needing to restructure something in your life. Saturn tends to have an impact that wants to course correct and shows you the limitations and boundaries that you may have put up that are keeping you from moving forward. And Jupiter wants to expand. So Saturn may say, well, there's some ways that you've been moving towards your new goals in life that may be impeding your ability to reach those goals or slowing them down, and is redirecting you so that you can really fulfill those new inspirations. Jupiter is a planet of inspiration, and Jupiter is giving you the hope. And you may fluctuate during this time, during a square, which is very tense. Squares, 90-degree angles are activating, so they cause tension, so you get up and do things. So you may fluctuate during this time between being very hopeful and then doubting again. So just watch that. It's just a natural part of this cycle. So if you're experiencing this sort of seesaw emotional, mental energy, keep persevering, keep examining whatever situation you're looking at. Be very reflective, which you're being helped tremendously by Mercury being in retrograde at this time. So this is really beautiful because Mercury is beginning its retrograde in Virgo on August 5th. It will go all the way through August 28th, move into Leo, and it's going to create a more reflective way of examining where your ideals are working and whether they are practical, right? So Mercury starting its retrograde in Virgo is all about practicality. And in Leo, it's stimulating your creativity to then move into where you need to go. So that is another part of this major shift where you're being supportive. So there is a big readjustment period right now for your beliefs and who you're aligning with, the alliances that you're forming. Where are you aligning yourself in terms of your principles and in terms of your connection to source, to your guides, to spirit, to God, in relation to how you live your life? What are your moral principles? This is Jupiter. So when you live in accordance with divine laws, which really spring from the heart, divine principles, you are living with Jupiterian energy. And Jupiter is being made very clear right now through Saturn. Saturn makes everything clear. It brings clarity, it brings responsibility. It shows you the nuts and bolts of the how-to guide. And so Jupiter energy is being supported tremendously by Saturn. So like I said, there is tension created by the square. So you may have an existential crisis if that's needed, where you're literally asking, am I on the right path? Am I fulfilling my destiny? Am I aligned with my purpose? Am I seeing the destiny clearly that I have for this lifetime? You may come to that point where you're asking that question. This is a very powerful moment. And if you truly persevere through the answers that you get, you will absolutely clear the energy. Remember, Pluto is on the 0-degree Aquarius moment where Saturn and Jupiter began their 20-year journey 4 years ago. Pluto absolutely clears, it purges, it releases. So you will clear the energy if you have an existential crisis in this way. Occasionally you need to be tested whether you are on the right path. Are you feeling yourself worthy of the mission? And then giving you the confidence, because Jupiter is filled with confidence, to say, yes, of course. And so Jupiter and Saturn are prime planets. They're the middle two planets that just bring it all together, that connect us between the divine and Earth, being on Earth. So that's what the Saturn square Jupiter moment is doing now. It will continue. It will continue to test you. It will check the direction that you're going as it relates to your purpose, as it relates to what you're destined to do. And also during this time, on the 14th of August, preceding by 5 days, the actual square between Jupiter and Saturn, is Mars conjunct Jupiter. So Mars and Jupiter will be square to Saturn in the days prior to this exactitude on August 19th. So on August 14th, Mars conjunct Jupiter, this will increase your desire to succeed. It will increase your ability to bring projects to a successful activation and conclusion. You want to focus on whatever you intend to create as a result, and leave the door open, because the universe always provides you the result that is absolutely for your highest good at that moment. But you can increase financial flow during this time with Mars conjunct Jupiter. You can really take the initiative now to benefit from wonderful opportunities, especially in relation to others, because the conjunction between Mars and Jupiter on August 14th happens in Gemini, and Gemini is a connection sign, a communication sign. So you can really experience a lot of success in all areas of your life prior to moving into this square, which already will be activated, the square between Jupiter and Saturn. Then also on Friday, 2 days later, on the 16th of August, Mars squares Saturn first before Jupiter gets there, because Mars moves faster than Jupiter. So Mars connects to Jupiter in a conjunction on the 14th, then moves into a square with Saturn while Jupiter is still moving into that exactitude. And that happens on the 16th between Mars and Saturn. And that means your energy may feel more restricted, because Mars is energy, Mars is forward momentum and fast pace, and Saturn is slow, responsible, crossing all T's, dotting all I's, not rushing, right? It's more restrictive energy because it helps you to get rid of distractions, not to multitask, in other words, but to really hone in on what's most important and leave everything else behind. Mars just wants to get to the goal, and in whichever way it can. It's a fiery planet. So during this time, it's good not to start a new project. And if you feel frustrated, breathe and definitely exercise. That's always important with any Mars energy. Center your energy and focus on liberating yourself from whatever you might be afraid of or frustrated about. It's really a good time for preparation and strengthening your inner resolve, because Mars will give you the courage to move forward once this really intense energy has passed. And then on August 19th, is the Aquarius full moon and Jupiter squares Saturn. And your beliefs may change during this time, right? Even if you give it a few weeks, it takes some time to move through some of these major shifts. You will be helped immensely by taking more responsibility for your personal growth, for your happiness, by focusing on making those positive changes, which Jupiter really is asking you to do. It leaves, like I said, a lasting impact. Also because this square is happening at 17 degrees. 17 degrees Gemini for Jupiter, 17 degrees Pisces for Saturn. As I mentioned earlier, the square represents the cross. 4 90-degree angles create the full circle. And so squares are powerful invitations to manifest. And the number 4 in astrology, there are four 90-degree angles in astrology that create that square. The number 4 is also about manifestation. And Mercury retrograde begins at 4 degrees Virgo. So that number 4 is really being activated both symbolically by the 2 T-squares and by the squares in general, and by the Mercury retrograde beginning in Virgo. And remember that the mutable signs, which include Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, are activated by Saturn, by Jupiter, and by Mercury retrograde. So this is really potent energy. Some of the most powerful manifestations and results happen between these aspects, between Jupiter and Saturn. Despite the tests, despite any delays that may happen, you are course correcting now. You're aligning to a better way, a more stable way, a more secure way, and a more uplifting way, an inspirational way of achieving your dreams. This 20-year cycle between Saturn and Jupiter is incredible. We experience it 4 to 5 times in our lifetime because of the 20-year length. And so this is a real moment to celebrate, especially because it began in 2020. The decade in the 2000s, or the century that we just began in 2000, 2020s are literally the epitome of that number, of the 2, of the divine feminine, sacred masculine coming together as one, of peace. So we are, by starting this cycle in 2020 on the winter solstice, truly embracing the new beginnings energy. It began at the moment the sun went into Capricorn, the winter solstice in 2020. Capricorn is where Pluto is moving from now, and Pluto is now at 0 degrees Aquarius, and 0 degrees Aquarius is where that conjunction happened on December 21st, 2020. And I know I'm throwing a lot of info and data at you, but when you look at the layers of the numerology and astrology, 21 being the 21st century too, the century of truth, this is truly remarkable energy. It is so inspiring, and it shows you that you have a gateway to walk through. We have the Lion's Gate on August 8th. That's a gateway. Well, this is happening in August. It's happening during the time that the sun is in Leo, and it's happening during a time when the most positive location is chosen astrologically, celestial, for us to experience abundance, for us to experience a more realistic, longer lasting, solid, beautiful, and uplifting energy as a result of following the prompts that we are being given now. So, as I said, this moment is really a great time to look at where the location is that you are. Are you happy in your home? Are you happy where you live? Do you yearn to travel to other places? Is it a good time for you to explore something else? Jupiter governs long distance travel, and Saturn wants you to lay down roots. So this square is asking you, okay, are you happy, or are you ready to move? And if you have any questions about astrocartography, which is the study of astrology, your astrology chart on the world map, I have a free masterclass. It's brand new. It's called Astrocartography, The Power of Positive Places, and you can watch it at positivelocations.com. And what you'll learn is how your astrology birth chart is literally represented on planet Earth, showing the major lines and the secondary lines of the best places for you to live in terms of career, relationships, abundance, health, family, friends, the best places to travel or not to travel, right? The best places for just looking at where you are able to succeed. And there are lots of celebrity astrocartography examples. There's also a major common mistake, which I'm going to address for every one of you who go to astro.com or any astrocartography website and look at your lines. There's something you really need to know, because it will change the way you look at your lines from now on. And we'll also look at the relocated chart, how important it is when you change your birth chart to the new time zone and what that means and how it impacts you. So all of this will be looked at in that free masterclass at positivelocations.com. Lots of celebrity examples, as I said. So enjoy that and have an incredible week, an incredible August. And I'll see you next week for the powerful Aquarius full moon forecast. Lots of love.